Hi everybody, my name is Eitan and welcome to another After Effects tutorial. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you for 200 subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed yet, there will be a lot of new great content coming out soon, including this very tutorial, so please subscribe and we'll get started on the tutorial. Okay, so what we'll be making today is this sort of anonymous person, and it's sort of blocked out, but even without that, you can still make out the shape of a person, but it won't be recognizable to anyone on the planet. Why? Well, because this person is made up from various people's different body parts. For example, I took one person's eyebrow, another person's eye, etc. And actually the initial face was a man's face, and then I added everything sort of on top of that, and then pixelated it to round out the effect. And so that's what we ended up having. So, let's get started. So here we have our initial footage, and what this is sort of just a smoothed out version of that. And how I did that is I just removed some of the wrinkles with the clone stamp tool, and then I softened it and I added a glow. And you can see tutorials how to do this, just look up like removing wrinkles or anything like that. And there are plenty of tutorials on how to get the footage to this state, or you can just pick someone's face that already looks like this. Then the next thing we're going to do is bring in eyes. So we have this eye here. And so I'm just going to resize this to get it to fit. That looks about right. And then the first thing I'm going to do to make this match, we'll do one eye first, is just make a little mask. And I'm going just around the edge of this wrinkle just to make it a little bit more realistic. We're going to feather this, so I'm just going to bring back some of my farther points. Okay, now I'm going to hit F, and here we'll just turn up the feathering a little bit. Now you can see that the color is still very off with the rest of his face. So we will now proceed to fix that. So drag on curves, and you can see that his face is a little more red. So we can do that. I'm going to press this button, which will just turn off that little mask thing. Try to get that a little closer. Darken it a little bit. Okay, so that looks a lot better. And so some of this feathering still isn't perfect. So we're just gonna increase that a little. Okay, awesome. So this looks really great. So now we're gonna duplicate this and then just flip it around and put it on the other eye. Looks like we may have made that other one a bit too small, just a bit, so we'll do that. And now that's already starting to look like a lady. Without the eyes is like that, and then with them the eyes make a huge difference. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is add on eyebrows. So here we go. This is a slightly over sharpened picture, but that's fine, we'll be fixing that. So then just sort of go around the eyebrow a little bit. Okay, and now we can just start by feathering this. Okay, and now shrink it down so it fits over the eyebrow-ish area. I'm going to bring in some of these points, keep it a little tighter, because with that feathering it's also making things a little bit weird. That'll also increase once we color match it a little more, but this is just temporary. Okay, and I'm going to hit W and then just rotate that around. Okay, so we have our first eyebrow in, and then I'm going to duplicate that whoops, Control Z, then move that over and flip it around, try to keep it around the same size. Then I'll rotate this one too. V, okay. So we have our eyebrows initially, and all this stuff will be tweaked once we start adding some more stuff. But now the trickiest part is adding in the hair. So I looked for a mask, and that I found to be the easiest thing. I found a wig, and so that still was not easy, but it was probably the easiest to add on. So let's just bring this transparency down to around 50% for now so we can line it up. Okay. So we'll want to get this around here, and we'll crop our image later. So this should be bigger, you can tell, because the eyes, when it's around the same size, the eyes should sort of match up. Okay, this looks approximately right, so we'll bring the transparency back up to 100%. Now what we'll do is use Luma key and drag that on there, and then switch it to key out brighter, and then start taking up the threshold. And now you'll see that we start getting this, and then we'll just feather the edges a little bit. Then adjust a few of these settings to key it a little better. Okay, and it looks like this was meant for someone with a little bit wider of a face, so I'll also bring that down. This whole thing seems a little big, looks like we miscalculated by a little bit. Okay, and now what we'll do, I'm going to do a mask on the inside. Okay, and then I'm going to set this to a subtract mask. So we can go down here to masks, set it to subtract. So now we took out that little middle part, but we'll feather it anyway. Okay. And we'll bring stuff like that in. Okay. So now what we're starting to have is our finished product. We're not really there yet, but we're getting a little closer. So I'm going to pre-compose this, and then in the pre-composition we're just going to scale it up a fair amount. Okay, and I'm just going to add a white solid to the background. Okay, here we go. So now we sort of have our person, and again, we're going to add more to it, but I'm going to add on an adjustment layer, the mosaic effect, and drag that on, and then just bring the horizontal blocks somewhere between like 70 and 100. I've gotten the best results. I'll try 100 for both. Maybe 110 would be good. Depends how anonymous you want this person to be. So there are still a few issues, but that fixes a lot right there. So now we see that we should probably move the hair down a little bit, because you can see a little bit of that original hair, and there's that little issue right there with the hair. So we can fix that too. So now we'll go back into our pre-comp and then adjust this wig so it's a little lower down, and then push it in just a little bit, and then we'll bring these points in so it's a little more even. Okay, so I think this is gonna work a little bit better this time. So now we can go back to our main composition, and I guess we have to move it around a little. Every time you tweak it, it's really hard because you are creating something from nothing practically. So there are a lot of changes to be made. But here you have pretty close to your final effect. So now I'm just gonna add a glow. And then just turn the radius way up and the intensity down. And another way to get a cool soft glow effect, pre-compose everything, then duplicate the layer, and then add a fast blur over everything. This adds like a film style blur, repeat edge pixels, so it's completely blurred out, and then play around with the different modes. So if we're doing something like that, then we'll want to decrease the saturation, it's a little overly saturated, and the contrast. We'll bring down the contrast a little bit. And there we go. We have a nice person. So I've done this a few times, and each time I've gotten very different results because I've used different body parts and stuff. And so some of them I replace a lot more than just the nose. I mean, like, I don't even leave the nose in the mouth. But you can really try whatever you want. You can try doing this on a moving video. So there are a bunch of different things you could do with this effect. So, thank you for watching this After Effects tutorial. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will try to get back to you. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.